30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and young guns Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on kind of a cool but sunny Friday afternoon in Nashville, Tennessee. As all of you know, the SEC basketball tournament is going on at Bridgestone Arena. The number one seed, Alabama, from wire to wire, has handled Mississippi State today. For a live update, let's go to the arena where our David Wilson is standing by. David, if this had been a fight, they'd have stopped it in a TKO.
They would have. Alabama really dominated the game from start to finish. Really, the first half was a lot of bricks for Mississippi State offensively. They could not get Tolo Smith going offensively. They had 1 point, missed 11 shots in a row. Just their inability to make shots in the field was really the difference in this game.
Yeah, this is a team that struggles offensively, talking about Mississippi State, other than Tolo Smith inside, who is a hoss. The rest of it's kind of a shaky deal.
Yeah, their inability to make shots from the perimeter. I saw a stat the other day that they would be the first team in NCAA history to make the tournament shooting below 28% from the three-point line. They're just not built to win that way. They're a defensive team. They're top 10 in the country defensively. That's what they make their mark on. It's just being in those kind of boxing style games where you got to hold the team to 50 points, 60 points. You know, they can't shoot offensively. So we'll see what they do in the tournament. But this game was about Alabama. You know, they're a streaky team offensively. They were hot to start the game, kind of cooled off during the middle of that first half. But Brandon Miller, obviously, he's a local kid from here in Nashville. He got it going at the end of that first half.
David, today, Alabama looked much more like the Alabama that we saw before all the controversy involved in the shooting. It looked like there was a new level of focus. They looked like a national title contender.
George, they're long, they're athletic, they're lanky, they're every adjective you can describe about a good basketball team. They go 8 to 10 deep coming off the bench. They just got talent all over the floor. I mean, they were the favorite coming in this week for a reason, just their ability defensively to lock you down. They're another top 10 defensive team in the country. If they continue to play the way they played today, they're probably going to be the favorite going into March.
So now they await the winner of this Tennessee-Missouri game that's probably about 25 minutes away from starting. David, it looked like Tennessee had a great contingent in the building, way bigger than Missouri. They're likely to have a home court here.
Absolutely. You hit it the nail on the head. It's going to be a Tennessee home game for them. A lot of orange bleeding into the arena already. And a lot of Kentucky blue already making their way in. I know they play tonight. But this is going to be a Tennessee home game, so we need to see if they're going to be able to shoot the basketball like they did yesterday. You know, Josiah Jordan-James added 20 points yesterday. They're going to win a lot of basketball games, and they're a dangerous team when they shoot that well offensively. So we'll see if they have revenge on their mind. You know, Missouri came into Thompson-Boling just a few weeks ago and beat Tennessee at home. So I know Tennessee wants to get back at them today.
So the night games have a lot of interest. Arkansas, Texas A&M, man, that's an old Southwest Conference kind of shootout. That game is listed in Vegas as a pick'em. And Kentucky, and this one caught me off guard, an 8.5-point favorite over Vandy. I would have made the line more like 4.5. So the question is, what does Vegas know that we don't?
I think, you know, Texas A&M is really the darling of the SEC. I think there are a lot of people's pick to win the tournament this weekend, you know, just their length and their ability to make shots. You know, Buzz Williams, a great coach. co-SEC Coach of the Year along with Jerry Stackhouse. Texas A&M in the bottom half of this bracket is going to be a team to watch going into this weekend. They're playing Arkansas tonight, who was a team who really needed a win. They had lost 3 straight coming into Nashville. They were secure in the tournament, but they were really a team that needed a win to try to build some momentum towards March. And then obviously the Kentucky Vanderbilt game is one we're going to keep an eye on. Vanderbilt still needs to find some wins to try to get in the NCAA tournament. Kentucky coming off a big win last week at Bud Walton in Arkansas. Reeves giving them 36 points last week. We'll see if Big Blue Nation can get it done tonight.
Yeah, this will come down to Kentucky's level of shooting, it would seem to me. When they shoot well, they're really dangerous. When they don't, it basically gets left in Oscar Tshiebwe's hands to just try to get 25 offensive rebounds and hope for the best.
Well, they're going to have the advantage on the glass tonight. Liam Robbins being hurt and his inability to play, that really showed at the end of that second half up in Lexington at Rupp Arena. Tshiebwe was all over the boards, and Vanderbilt was just fouling him and sending him to the free throw line. So can Vanderbilt rebound tonight? Can they box him out and limit Kentucky to 1 possession? Kentucky's a streaky team from the field. If Vanderbilt can hold them just to 1 possession down the floor, Vanderbilt's got a shot tonight. They have gelled down the stretch. They've won 9 of their last 10 games. A lot of people are trying to say Vanderbilt deserves to be in the tournament, definitely from the people in ESPN in the building. So if Vanderbilt can hold them to 1 possession down the floor, Vanderbilt's got a shot tonight.
David, we'll check back in with you at halftime of the Tennessee-Missouri game. Thanks, as always, for the good work.
All right, talk to you in a little bit, George. Thank you.
David Wilson reporting live from Bridgestone Arena, where the action is hot and heavy. Alabama in a rout today, 72-49 over Mississippi State, and that leads us to Billy Derrick's March Madness scoreboard update.
Here we go, George. We start with a couple finals today in the Big Ten. Purdue knocks off Rutgers 70-65 in the quarterfinals. Rutgers hung with them, George. They did a really good job on Zach Edey down low. They almost got it. You could argue they needed that for their tournament chances. So now it's a little iffy for Rutgers. But
I can't tell you how impressed I am with Rutgers. That is one well-coached team. At times, it looked like there were 7 of them out there. When they would go full court press against Purdue, man, they got my attention.
And I think the story here is Purdue really struggling, with some lower tier teams. So we'll see what Purdue ends up doing in the semifinals tomorrow. George, you just mentioned it in the SEC. Alabama beats Mississippi State 72-49. They will advance to play the winner of Tennessee and Missouri tomorrow. Speaking of Tennessee and Mizzou, they'll tip off here in about 25-30 minutes or so, a little after 2:30. That should be a good one. Should be a really good one at Bridgestone. Tennessee is a 5.5-point favorite. Over in the American, George, we forget about this conference every now and then, but Houston, it was tight. It was tight with East Carolina early on, but they're pulling away right now. They lead East Carolina 59-45. So those are the top 25 matchups, George, going on right now. UConn and Marquette will do battle tonight in the Big East at 5:30. Iowa State and Kansas in the Big 12 also tonight at 6 o'clock. Duke and Miami is a really good one tonight as well. And David mentioned Arkansas and Texas A&M as well. So we got a lot of basketball today, George. And
okay, but you missed one.
Which one did I miss?
Middle
Tennessee.
Oh,
yes. They
Heartbreak City.
Lost a tough one in Conference USA to FAU by 3, 68-65 in the semifinal. They won off a buzzer beater yesterday. Obviously, George, they needed to win this tournament to get in the big dance, but they lose to FAU 68-65.
FAU already in, whether they had won or lost. Middle losing eliminates that possibility of stealing a bid from a bubble team. We got plenty more of this to talk about. Yeah. Billy, let's get to the update really quick.
Let's get to some other basketball news, George. Georgia Tech has fired Josh Pastner. After 7 years at Memphis, he joined Georgia Tech ahead of the 2016 season, replacing Brian Gregory. In 7 years with the Yellow Jackets, he only surpassed 20 wins one time. So I think we sort of saw this coming, George. We're going to talk about this with Mark Griffin coming up, but I know you've spent time in that area, Atlanta and Georgia Tech. That's a tough program
tough
to win at, and this is a big hire coming up for them.
Ironically, Brian Gregory got fired about 30 minutes after Pasner did.
I was going to say, I think I
at South
recognize
Florida.
that Brian Gregory
Yeah.
name.
These are two guys that Georgia Tech either has owed or will owe some buyout money.
And that's their biggest problem right now.
It is.
The financial lack of stability for Georgia Tech right now.
Yep.
So we'll see what Georgia Tech does there. In the NFL, George got a couple notes to pass on. The Titans have released Ben Jones. A source confirmed to ESPN today. That saves the Titans almost $4 million in cap space, even though they're stuck with $4.6 million in dead money right now. George, he's the 5th veteran player that the Titans have let go of. I'd say it's tough losing Ben Jones, but that's probably a positive if you're a Titans fan.
Well, it's one I hate to see. Ben Jones is a pro, period. He is a pro's pro, and his presence will be missed in their locker room.
No doubt.
That's a good man right there who has battled some injuries late in his career. I don't know whether he's going to play again. Only he probably and his family know that, but we wish him the very best.
No doubt. And George, a good moment between him and Vrabel after I forget what game it was, but he was just fighting all game, and Vrabel ended up hugging him after the game. So that was a great moment there. Titans release Ben Jones. A couple other NFL notes. Dak Prescott has helped the Cowboys out a little bit. They have created about $30 million in cap room today by restructuring his contract, as well as Zach Martin. So we talk about the Titans potentially restructuring Tannehill's contract. The Cowboys have restructured Dak Prescott's contract. So that's probably a positive for the Cowboys as well.
Well, it becomes an issue where a Jerry Jones can go to Dak Prescott and say, okay, you're making a lot of millions. Do you want this team to be good? If you do, you got to help us. It's that simple.
Yeah, it really is. And the Cowboys, they were pegged about $18 million over the cap, but these moves get them under the cap and give them a little bit of wiggle room here. So good news for the Cowboys. Lastly here, George, Tua Tagovailoa is in the news. The Dolphins are committing to him through the 2024 season. They have picked up his 5th-year option, according to Mike Garafolo of NFL Network. So we talked a lot about Tua. Is he going to stick with the sport of football just with all the health concerns? It looks like the Dolphins are going to stick with him. So looks like he's staying in the game of football.
I don't think they really had any choice in picking up the option. But ultimately, this is going to come down to, in the future, can he at all stay healthy? If he doesn't, I don't see his career being a long one. People are worried about the concussions, and rightfully so. You just wish for this young guy
to make the
good
best
health.
decision.
And to have good health.
It's not about football at this point.
Yeah, it's very tough.
That's it for the update, George.
Okay, Mark Griffin's going to join us after the break. We got a lot to talk with him about. Herm Edwards at 3:00. That's an interview you're going to want to hear. At the very beginning of it, I'm going to get him to talk a little bit about Hendon Hooker and what he sees out of Hooker and what he thinks other teams will do with him. So, are you betting either the NBA or March Madness? Yes, the commercial has to do with Action 24/7. If you will use promo code George,
what was that code?
I got my own promo code, George. You'll get a 300% deposit match up to $20 on your first deposit. Action 24/7 is Tennessee's only locally owned and operated sports book. Why do I say that? Because the folks involved are your neighbors. Okay, they want to do right by you. If you've got a question or a dispute about a game, you can call them. You're going to get your call returned, and it's going to happen quickly because customer service is important to these folks. So download the app or visit action247.com to start your winning. And please bet responsibly.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685. I know it's getting colder. You're not thinking about golf. However, if you're planning an event for next year, let me suggest golf through Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. It's perfect for hosting a corporate or a charitable outing. They've got everything in place to make your event a rousing success. To get more info, call 615-847-5074 or go online to riversidegolflinks.com. In honor of the NCAA men's basketball tournament, the George Plaster Show will hit the road Thursday, March the 16th and Friday, March the 17th at the beautiful Fordyce Center in Bellevue. If you've never been out there, you're in for a treat. On the second floor, they've got a great sports bar with a bunch of televisions, so you'll have a chance to see all the games. We'll see you at the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. We're back, and it's always fun to be able to introduce a good friend, former University of Tennessee basketball star Mark Griffin, who joins us from his palatial estate. Mark, how are you?
Fantastic, George. How about yourself?
Doing good. Give me some thoughts on what you've seen so far in the SEC tournament.
Wow, I tell you, really impressed with Alabama. Just watched the most I could. Some of us, George, we have a different day job than yours.
Wow, a little shot there, huh?
and you know what? And good for you guys, Billy. Good for you guys. I mean, I admire what y'all do. But what I saw was great team play. Brandon Miller, once again, stand out as a leader, able to come back in his hometown, going to high school at Cane Ridge, and really seems like he's grounded to play well. Coach Oates has got them playing at a very high level. I was really pleased with Tennessee's play yesterday, which I attended. The thing that you see a lot with this team is dry runs where they're going through a few minutes of not being able to score, but I'm not real hung up on that, because with their steady defensive play, they seem to make up for it. I know we'll get more into that later. And let's see what else. I was pleased to see Mississippi State have a win against Florida. I was pulling for them actually today against Alabama naturally, but glad to see them have a big win. I know we'll talk about bubble teams later. I'm hoping that Mississippi State gets their ticket punched into the NCAA tournament, as well as many other SEC teams, George.
Mark, when you watched Alabama today, this is the best they've looked, excuse me, since all of this stuff has gotten out involving the murder case. Is this a sign that maybe the rest of the team has kind of refocused, recalibrated, and now it's off to the races?
I believe so. I mean, I don't think you can completely block it out of your mind, but one of the things about a mature basketball team and administration, the coaching staff that's leading this team, is you've got to focus on the controllables. And when it boils down to it, from a student athlete's perspective, it's what happens on the court. And if Alabama can continue to focus on their brothers, their teammates on the court, and take care of business on the court, and block out all the sideshow distractions, how big and how important that we may see them, if they can just focus on what they do when they're wearing their uniform, representing their state, then this could be a very dangerous team. I can't imagine what they're going through mentally, but I can imagine what they're going through on the floor, and that's something you can control. And I'm sure that it's been preached to them day in and day out. Let's focus on the controllables. Let's let everything else play out, but let's lean on each other. Let's grow. Let's mature, and let's advance.
Mark, we've got a graphic that you helped put together about coaches on the hot seat, and we'll show that here in just a minute. But I want to get your reaction to a big rumor that was floating around Bridgestone last night, and that is Notre Dame's pursuit of Tricky Ricky Pitino.
Wow.
What would be your reaction to Rick Pitino, Notre Dame?
With Rick Pitino, there's no telling. I mean, his name is like, I'm trying to think of the football coach at Florida that coached Ohio State. Excuse me, George.
Urban Meyer?
Urban Meyer. You know, it's those two guys come up every time there's an opening. It's interesting. You know, I could see that being a call that Notre Dame should make. He's obviously proved himself as a fantastic coach wherever he's gone on the floor. Outside of the basketball court, maybe some different decisions. But as far as what he's done at Iona is incredible. And I'd heard he made the comment in the past he wanted to make Gonzaga. He wanted to make Iona the Gonzaga of the East. Well, I don't think that's ever going to happen. I don't think he'll be there long enough, guys. But I think he could be a very great candidate for Notre Dame, and you know he's not going to shy away from the limelight. So I think it could happen. How about you guys?
Oh, look, I don't rule this one out at all. Notre Dame has such a national following and such a national presence. It would be right up his alley.
Is he sort of, cleaned up from everything? Like,
who knows? I mean,
is anything attached with him still?
Who knows? I mean, Chris Beard's about to get hired at Ole Miss.
Right.
So...
Like, is he different than Chris Beard right now? I mean, he's got to be with how far removed he is from a lot of it.
Mark, you take it.
I mean, there's nothing that I'm aware of that he's waiting on legally, or he wouldn't.
Right.
I don't think he would be coaching at Iona. Now, the perception and what's going on behind the scenes, that's a cover up or any conspiracy theories out there, who knows? But it's when you mention his name now, you don't mention it looking at national championships. You mention it looking at character, to me. And if I'm going to be a student athlete and I'm questioning my coach character off the floor, I would be a little concerned, and I would be concerned as a parent. Now, we're in America, give people many, many chances to right wrongs. I get that. He's definitely proven himself on the court as a fantastic coach. And like you said, George, with the high-profile opportunity that he may receive at Notre Dame, I think it's going to be hard for him to turn that down.
Yeah, like I said, it was one of the big hot rumors floating around yesterday at Bridgestone. Let's take a look at this list that you put together, and all of a sudden there is late news on a series of fronts. Josh Pazner today, within the last couple of hours, fired at Georgia Tech. That's not a big surprise. One NCAA appearance in 7 years. Mark, I don't know why I'm thinking this because I have no info. Darren Horn?
Oh, wow. And it's funny because the carousel will start to continue, which I know, George, is one of your favorite topics during this March Madness season. I think that Darren's definitely proved himself, and as a good friend of yours, I know you've got his backing. He would be one of the definite calls at Georgia Tech. I haven't put together a list yet of hot coaches. I know we'll be able to do that if they're not hired within the next week. But I think definitely he gets a call. The job he's done at Northern Kentucky has just been fantastic. He's proven himself over the years, has the pedigree, and definitely should get a call, George.
Okay, Patrick Ewing, this was almost sort of a mercy deal to go ahead and let him go. It just never got any traction at Georgetown, which is really surprising. One of the names being thrown out at Georgetown is former Notre Dame coach Mike Bray.
Wow.
And Mark, I don't think Bray is finished. I think the Notre Dame thing just wore him out.
Yeah, and I of all these jobs that we're looking at here, opportunities, if any of these individuals are let go, I look at the Georgetown as the most attractive opening of all of them. I think if it's not Mike Bray, then you open that up and you get on the phone and you call an extensive list of individuals, because I definitely think with the talent level you have in the DC area, the tradition of Georgetown, hopefully Patrick Ewing is mature enough that he's going to want to be involved in some capacity, since he was such a great student athlete there back in the day. But I think that's the most attractive job, and it'll be interesting to see which candidates they come after, but it should definitely be a national search with big names looked at.
Mark Fox got the axe yesterday at Cal. They were 3-29, which is shocking. A miserable season. They weren't the least bit competitive in the Pac-12. I'm mystified about that, because when I saw Fox at Georgia, I thought he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, and what's interesting about Mark Fox that many people may not be aware of, outside of the coach, the with the fans that follow sports, is he was very successful at Nevada before he came over to Georgia. Did a fantastic job, and just couldn't get it done at Georgia, and had a horrible time at California. So looks like he may have to drop down a level or become an assistant coach, or like a lot of these guys, they'll go on and be commentators for a little bit and hope that they garner some interest.
Yeah, and oftentimes that does do a little bit of the trick. Darren Horn had a very successful run with ESPN and the SEC network in its inception. Mike Hopkins got a Syracuse pedigree. No word yet on him, although not a lot of good has happened. Give me your take on Boeheim. What a weird ending.
Yeah, it's definitely weird ending, but how long have we been waiting for Coach Boeheim to retire? I mean, Mike Hopkins was the coach in waiting, speaking of Mike Hopkins. And how many years ago was that, George? I mean, he's been at Washington. They just finished his 6th season, and he just couldn't wait any longer. Mm-mm. So very perplexing.
In the Boeheim resume, there is a national title. There's 47 years of coaching, but I don't know. The whole thing's got a weird feel to it.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, did they make Adrian Autry the acting head coach moving forward, or is he an interim coach, or do you know?
No, it looks like he's the full-time hire.
Good. Well, then I'm all for that. Former player, big name, lots of contacts. Hopefully he could move them back in the right direction. Once again, a very powerful, traditional program from the past. But what's interesting, George, when we talk about the past, these kids now, they don't look, many years in the past and say powerhouse. They're looking at the hot ones now. So, I think Boeheim has served his time and more. He should have been on a hot seat to me years ago.
Was he really at Syracuse for 43 years?
Oh, yeah.
Whew.
I thought it was 47, but whatever.
Yeah.
He was there.
Wow.
I mean, we're talking Nixon administration.
I didn't know it was that long.
So Tennessee and Missouri have just tipped off. Mark, I know you can see it on your television. Give me a thought or two of how you think Tennessee matches up against Missouri.
Well, it's a very interesting matchup, and I'll tell you why. When you look at this Missouri team, they're scoring 80 points a game. They're 21st in the nation. And just to give a comparison, Tennessee is 181st. So this Missouri team likes to get out and run. On the flip side of that, Tennessee gives up 57 points a game, which is third in the nation. But Missouri gives up 75 points a game, which is 309th. So they're totally diametrically opposite as far as their game plan and their performance on the court. So if they meet in the middle, how does this game turn out at the end? And for me, I think it's going to be a close game. What concerns me about this game for Tennessee is who's going to have the ball in their hands the last 4 minutes. What big man will be on the court? When you look at Awaka has been giving great minutes as far as rebounds, but he's shooting, I believe, like 37% from the free throw line. You're not going to have him in the game, or below. He's below 50%, and then Plavsic is shooting in the 30s. So you're going to have Adu in the game, but he's shooting in the 70s. So let's take care of the big guy. But as far as guard play, remember, Zakai Ziegler was shooting 83% from the free throw line. So who's going to be handling the ball at the end of the game? Josiah James has the highest free throw percentage on this team, but he's not running the point. He's running but he runs up to a 4-man. Well, will Barnes put the ball in his hands since he played so well yesterday? It'll just be interesting dynamics to watch the end of this game to see what buttons Coach Barnes pushes. And I would encourage all your viewers here to look for these signals to see who is on the court, who has the ball, what is their game plan? Do they slow down the game compared to a fast tempo that this Missouri team likes to play?
Yeah, and Mark, it looks like Meshack is running the point, at least so far, for Tennessee. So I don't know if they'll rotate, guys there, but it does look like Meshack has had at least started out at point.
Right.
Mark, we're going to do this. We'll go to the break. I'm going to ask you the question when we come back. If Vandy wins tonight against Kentucky, are they in? And then we'll look at bubble teams besides the Commodores that are out there fighting for their basketball tournament life. Stay tuned. We're coming back.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd. The goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Don't miss a minute of the action this season. Visit NashvillePredators.com/tickets to get your seats today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets. And we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
Jody Jones has as nice a dental facility as you'll find anywhere. Let's go in and take a look. Are you in the market for a new dentist? Maybe you're new to Nashville? Well, the place to go is Jody Jones Dentistry at 55 Music Square East. And their new facility is absolutely state-of-the-art. Jody mixes quality with comfort for the perfect dental experience. He's trusted for his creative design and committed to both the function and aesthetics of your smile. Jody is simply the total package. Don't wait. Make an appointment now at 615-259-5100.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
Okay, we're back. Tennessee and Missouri go to the first dead ball timeout, even at 6. Bridgestone Arena will have a report at halftime from our own David Wilson standing by outside the arena. Billy, give me a March Madness scoreboard update.
Real quick here, George, some finals to get to. Florida Atlantic beats Middle Tennessee earlier today, 68-65 in the semis of Conference USA. So MTSU's postseason chances take a hit there. Purdue beats Rutgers in the Big Ten quarterfinals, 70-65. They hang on to beat the Scarlet Knights. Alabama destroys Mississippi State 72-49 earlier today in the quarterfinal of the SEC. They'll play the winner of Missouri and Tennessee. Houston ends up beating East Carolina 60-46 over in the American. We got a couple games of note going on right now. Ohio State leads Michigan State 33-24 late in that first half in the Big Ten tournament. Boy, that'd be a shocker there. If the Buckeyes...
and that would hurt some bubble teams. First of all, Ohio State, everybody believes will be making a coaching change at the end of the year. That would become the most attractive job.
Very interesting. Holtman has struggled the last couple of years. And Tennessee and Missouri in action right now. 4 minutes into the first half of that one. They are tied at 6 over at Bridgestone. So that's your March Madness update so far. And as we bring Mark back in, we've got a chat room question for you, Mark. And it's a pretty good question here. Joe Wall on YouTube asks, how does the committee not have conference performance as one of the qualifications? They're talking about 8 teams going from the SEC, not including the team tied for 4th. And I think he's a Vandy fan, referring to Vandy. So I guess he's asking, why doesn't the committee take more stock into conference play and how teams do in the conference?
Well, I think it's a valid question. I think one of the things that is taken into place, you look at the net ranking, and that does look at how you fare against other teams based on where they are ranked based on their national evaluation tool.
Right.
That's one way, but overall record in the conference, not weighed. I don't know, George, you're more of a historian than I am. Have they ever weighed a conference record other than conference championship, a regular season conference championship years ago?
Mark, it's a good question. I've always thought that what the committee does is they put their stuff together and then they spend about an hour thinking about, okay, now that we've done this, what are we going to tell people the criteria is? It used to be last 10 games had huge weight. Now, apparently that doesn't matter. I just think they make up stuff as they go along.
Yeah. And you're right. And what's really interesting is when is this information shared with all of the programs, so you know going in what goals you are chasing, and even years in advance, because as you know, George, these teams are scheduling in the future their opponents, and by knowing what the criteria is before, let's say, next season, you may alter some of your schedule, like the SEC's done a great job here in the recent years to play higher performing ranked teams in the country versus just the directional schools that has happened a lot across the country.
Okay, let's get to Vandy specifically. If they win tonight, are they in?
I don't think they are, George, but I think they're definitely moving up the ladder. There is a few games that I wanted to pass on, that the Vandy faithful and SEC faithful that's pulling for Vanderbilt. Immediate game to be on the lookout for is Oregon, because right now, and I'm just going based on Joe Lunardi and other metrics such as the net ranking. I looked at quad one ranking. I looked at a lot of different areas. I feel like I should maybe have committee qualifications, even if I don't, George. But it starts running together when you really start pulling all this criteria. And like you said, what is weighed more than others? But the first one's Oregon playing UCLA, so we should be cheering the ones who want Vanderbilt in. Definitely cheering for UCLA this evening. And also Arizona State is another Pac-12 team to be on the lookout for, pulling for Arizona to beat them. Another team, Clemson, as of today. And I think if this happens, they're definitely going to be in the conversation more because they're trending in such a great direction. You mentioned before, in the past criteria was last 10. If you looked at last 10, Vanderbilt would be in and be seated very well because of their wins against teams like Tennessee, Kentucky, Mississippi State, all in the conference that are going to the postseason NCAA tournament. So it's a great conversation to be had at the water cooler. And it's one, George, when this season started, we probably thought we wouldn't be having. And I'm excited to watch them this evening, and I hope that they play well with going small ball without Liam Robbins, and seeing how they can keep Shebway from dominating, and if he does, if they can slow down some of the other players so that Kentucky doesn't have an advantage.
Here's one thing I noticed last night, Mark, and I want to get you to talk about it. Ezra Mannion. All of a sudden, the book, which used to be out there, which was back off of him, he can't shoot. Boy, last night I saw a confidence level in his shooting stroke that I have not seen before.
And you know what? You're exactly right. And I haven't been to as many games as you have live, but I've watched Vanderbilt consistently this season on TV and haven't seen that performance as well. And what a great time to step up, because no one denied his quickness and his defensive ability, but it was mainly the shooting aspect. And you could even live without him not shooting the ball well based on the pieces that Vanderbilt's put together. So it'll be interesting tonight to see if Kentucky backs off of him, because you can't guard everybody every possession. There's always players you're going to hedge against based on how hot they are or your defensive strategy. I'm really interested to see Jordan Wright, to see how he comes out. Very steady. I've been waiting for him half the season, and then this last half has really picked up his performance. They're going to need strong performance by him and several others tonight. I'm just wondering if it's going to be a high tempo, fast tempo type game, or will Vanderbilt slow it down? Who gets the advantage there? You know, how are they going to get Sheboy in foul trouble if they go small ball? That's going to be a difficult task. It'll be some great strategies for Stackhouse. As you know, he runs some great offensive sets, and it'll be a fun game. And I just hope for fans' sake that the Vanderbilt faithful comes out, because as we know, George, the Big Blue Nation will pack the house. Vanderbilt's coming off this big win over Kentucky, and I'm hoping that gives them a little extra momentum. So I'll definitely be pulling for Vanderbilt this evening.
Okay. 9 days ago, when Vandy beat Kentucky at Rupp, in the second half, they were clearly the better team. And the only thing really Kentucky had to hang their hat on was the fact that Oscar Sheboy got every offensive rebound imaginable. And Mark, it seems to me there are two different Kentuckys.
Yeah.
There's the Kentucky that shoots the ball, that can play with anybody. And then there's the Kentucky that can't throw it in the ocean. And when that happens, all they have is Sheboy's effort and hustle. And he kind of feels like he's going 1-on-5.
Yeah, I mean, valid point. And I know Kentucky's had some injuries. But with that talent level and depth, guys have to step up. You know, Antonio Reeves has really stepped it up lately at career night recently. I'll be watching Chris. One of the keys for me, I love Jacob Toppin, one of my favorite players in the SEC, because I love his effort and how he plays the game with intensity that I wish that the rest of the team played with that intensity that he does. But I think for me, the biggest player that I'll be looking out for tonight is Chris Livingston. See how he matches up with this athletic Vanderbilt team, and if he can give Kentucky a big lift or not. I think it can be a close game. I know Kentucky's almost, favored almost double digits, but I do really feel if Vanderbilt could get off to a good start the first 4 minutes, quiet the crowd, have the tempo on their side, this may be a competitive game.
Hey, let me throw one more thing about Vandy out there, and you tell me what you think. So Magnon, his confidence level is through the roof. Miles Studi is getting nothing done, and that's got to change, because he's one of the shooters that could give them a lift.
Yeah, it's you're exactly right, George. And shooters have to keep shooting. You know, last year he was, if not the number one 3-point shooter in the SEC, I know he was one of the top 3-point shooters in the SEC. And his statistics have gone down significantly this year and lately. Not a good sign coming into the evening, this evening against Kentucky. But if he can have a short-term memory, and if he's mentally strong, then he could turn that around in one game. And you hope that that is the outcome, that these guys are mentally prepared when they're having, in the past, bad shooting evenings. It's tough to break that little mental curse, if you want to say, that you're going through, because you can get inside your head and still be a great shooter. And then when your shots aren't falling, you do think about them. But what he's got to do, and what I'm sure Coach Stackhouse, much smarter than me as a coach, is that when your shots aren't falling, let's get drives to the basket. Let's get you to the free throw line, develop confidence so that he can contribute more to the team and get to the line and get Kentucky in foul trouble when his shot's not falling. And it'll be interesting to watch him to see if he can get to the line. Because as you know, he's a very athletic player. So he can get to the line if he just has the will.
Let's look at your bubble teams here that the Vandies of the world kind of have to be paying attention to. Unbelievably impressed today with Rutgers in defeat. That is one well-coached basketball team.
Yes, they are, and they've got the Caleb McConnell kid. I've watched Rutgers a lot. My home office that I work for is in New Jersey. One of my colleagues is from New Jersey, and really paid more attention to them. And very athletic, big guy. They're a team that is going to be a battle. I really believe first round, whoever they face. But you're right; they did not hold back against this Purdue team. I think now I'm starting to see some holes being poked in the Purdue team right now. I know we'll talk more about that in future weeks. So that's our little tease for next week. But they're a team to be reckoned with, and I think they're going to definitely be in. I know it says last four, but I think that they're going to be comfortably in the tournament.
Do you think there's any path for North Carolina?
I do not. It's interesting. I think the media, and I know you could so-called say we're media now. I don't really like to be called media. Because I know when let me flash back here, because when we mentioned media, you always have flashbacks when you play. Coach DeVoe used to say, never trust the media, never trust the media. And here I am. I'm like, I think I'm kind of media. But when you look at broad media, it seems like that's a hot topic. And you've got Michigan in there as well, and North Carolina. Well, Michigan has no shot. I don't know why they're even on the line. They're 17-15 of all things, and they've won 3 quad one games, but lost 12. I don't know how you would even consider them. And North Carolina in the same boat. They've won 20 games. They've won 1 quad one game. They've lost 9. No way in the conversation, George. I don't know why Vanderbilt's not above North Carolina at all. I don't get it.
Out of this group, there's 16 teams in this group. Which one of these 16 could do the most damage in the tournament?
Good question. Wow. Well, I really feel it's going to come down to matchups, which is not evading your question. One of the teams that I really do like right now, besides Rutgers, is I like Clemson for this purpose. They've been hot here lately.
Boy, have they.
They've been hot lately. And when someone gets the fire in their belly and gets that momentum, it's hard to go in a different direction. Now, it'll be interesting to see how they play this weekend, but they're in the conversation now that they've got a shot to get in. So I can't wait to watch them play. But if they can get in, I think there's some noise that may be heard from this Clemson team. It'll be really interesting. Another team that pops out in my mind is Arizona State. And they have the Cambridge brothers, as you know, from Nashville. And Bobby Hurley has done a really good job with this team this year. They've had so many transfers since he's been there, you can't keep up. But they're a team that's playing really hard. That's one I look forward to seeing play. They've got a good mix of talent, a big guy rebounder. They've got shooters and Desmond Cambridge and a fine point guard as well. So they've got a really good makeup. Even coming from a weaker Pac-12, that's another team I could see advance.
Mark, I need a quick answer on this. Alabama, it looks like, is battling Kansas for the #1 overall seed. If there's a scenario Sunday where Alabama has to play against the Blue Mist, a decided home court disadvantage, does the committee on a Sunday pay any attention, or have they already made up their mind?
I think they've already made up their minds. I really do, George, and I'll tell you why. It goes back to the once again the net ranking. Looking at quad one wins, Kansas 16-6. They have an amazing percentage, and they're the highest by far in quad one wins. And to give you a comparison, the #2 team in the country is Texas at 12. Kentucky I'd have to go look and see what their quad one wins. I want to say top of my mind, they've won. I want to say one game, one or two, but it's not more than a few games quad one wins. So some Kentucky fan can correct me. That's fine, but it's not at the upper echelon. I'm sorry. And then we're talking about Alabama as well. Alabama, I believe they have 9 quad one wins. I got Kentucky on my mind, but I still think overall that Kansas will be the number 1 overall seed when all things said and done, with both teams advancing.
I've loved doing this. We'll continue it next week. Mark, I'll be in touch with you. Thanks as always.
My pleasure.
Great stuff with Mark Griffin
Christmas
today.
time, basketball time, Christmas
You
time.
got that right. It's bowl season. Capital One Bowl Week is amongst us. Okay, when we come back, yes, stat of the day, but then Herm Edwards will join us. And the first topic we'll get into with him is his evaluation of former Tennessee quarterback Hendon Hooker. Stick around.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? Wow.
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you. This is my buddy and former Nashville Sounds PA announcer Eric Berner. I always laughed in the old days at Greer Stadium when I would walk in, Eric would immediately play my favorite song, Van Halen's Jump. But then I learned he actually has a real job with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors.
Yeah, George, that's what I do. I help people in the pursuit of making their money live as long as they do. Everybody's situation is different, so I use a customized and individualized, personalized approach to the person I'm working with. Old 401ks, retirement planning, insurance planning, inheritance planning. Those are things that people like to get some more information about.
One of the things I find is people don't even know where to start, and that's where you come in.
Yeah, so I can usually help people with an initial phone call or meeting that is a no charge and no obligation.
And I'll bet you have a phone number and a website.
I do, George. They can call me at 615-235-1058 or rockcastlewealth.com or Eric at rockcastlewealth.com.
Welcome to John English Antique Sports and Cards, located at 204 East Depot Street in beautiful downtown Shelbyville, Tennessee. Their phone number is area code 931-492-4304. John, obviously, I've been blown away by what I've seen at your place. I've now been there 3 times. But for the person who's never been, what should they expect?
Well, we have a 3,000 square foot store, George. Half of it is vintage cards in all sports, and then half of the store is, a lot of people call it the museum, where there's a lot of early equipment and just the history of sports in general: baseball, football, basketball, golf, tennis, and other items.
When somebody comes in there that you know is a big sports fan, what is their normal reaction?
Well, I think that they're pleasantly surprised, and of course, being in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is a small town that you would never expect a shop like we have to be in, So they're kind of, I don't want to say blown away, but as I said, pleasantly surprised.
Welcome back. As we close out the first hour of the George Plaster Show, we await Herm Edwards' weekly visit with Herm, talk a little Hendon Hooker with him and where he sees him in the draft. But first, a little stat of the day brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards out in Shelbyville. Give them a call at 931-492-4304 if you're interested in heading out there to Shelbyville. George, let's get to stat of the day. No Watson, but let's see what David's got cooked up for us today. Looks like we're going a little college hoops. SEC. Back in 2000 and 2002, Tayshaun Prince and Keith Bogans both won SEC Player of the Year and SEC Tournament MVP in the same season. Can you name the last player to win SEC Player of the Year and Tournament MVP in the same season?
Oh, good Lord.
That's a loaded one.
Yeah, I look, I'm going to take a stab in the dark at this.
Let's hear it.
Chris Lofton.
No Chris Lofton.
Then I'm done.
That's the only guess.
That's where I'm going with it.
All right, George, you won't be surprised by this, but it's John Wall.
John Wall, man.
Back in that 2010 season.
Pretty darn good player.
Where they had a wild ride in the SEC tournament. They beat Mississippi State here in Nashville, one of the really good SEC tournaments. Well. So they had a couple wild finishes there, but that's the guy right there.
I'll give people a little bit of an update. If you're watching us live, Tennessee leads Missouri 16-14 with about 8.5 minutes to play in the first half. Plavsic was involved in something, and I can't tell you. I'm not surprised because he's a very physical player. And he got teed up, and that's where it is right now. We'll get you a report at halftime. David Wilson standing by outside Bridgestone Arena. However, the world traveler working for the worldwide leader is Herm Edwards, and I'm almost afraid to ask him where he is because his travel plans have gotten haywire thanks to a bunch of wind and weather. And Herm, where are you?
Well, we're actually driving home now. I finally got here. Understand this. I left the worldwide leader Thursday at 4:00 in the afternoon. And I was supposed to land in San Jose last night at 8. And as we approached, we had some terrible wind, and we ended up in Sacramento. And then from Sacramento, we sat for an hour or so, and all of a sudden we try it again. And guess what? Next thing I know, at 2:00 in the morning, I'm in Los Angeles. So I stayed in Los Angeles, and we finally got here today at 12:00. And so I'm trying to find my way home.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, so you're on fumes.
Oh, but you know what? I'm good. Because I was watching the worldwide leader as I was watching television on the flight, so I'm good. I'm kept up with everything. I haven't missed anything.
Okay, I'm going to try one on you that obviously is of great interest in our area. Give me your opinion of Hendon Hooker, the University of Tennessee quarterback, and how you think the NFL teams are going to evaluate him, in particular with the injury he suffered near the end of the season.
Well, we can get over the injury part. He's going to get healed up. And if he wasn't injured, he was going to be a solid second-round pick. And I've said this all along. If you need a quarterback to sit for a year or so, to groom a quarterback, he's your guy. And I said this about people that have multiple picks, let's say in the second round. Let's say if you're the Seattle Seahawks, and you like Geno Smith, and you figure Geno's got 2 more years left. He's got a nice contract now. You want to bring somebody along. They have, I think, the 32nd pick and the 51st pick in the second round. You get a guy like that, get him healthy, let him learn the system, and when Geno walks away, you got a quarterback.
Tell me what in particular really impresses you about him.
Well, I know one thing. He knows the game. He can process information very quickly because of the offense he runs. That quarterback driven. When he gets under center or gets in the gun, there's a lot of things he has to read before the ball snaps. I like that part of it. And, he's athletic enough. He can run. He's got a nice arm. He's accurate. Played in a big-time offense and played in a big conference. So he's a guy that if he wasn't hurt, we're talking about those other quarterbacks coming out. Obviously, we understand all that, but he would have been in that conversation, maybe not in the first round, but a solid second round pick for sure.
Okay. Let me try this one on you. I don't think I'm wearing a green sweater for this purpose. It has nothing to do with Green Bay, but as I read all this stuff about, the Jets sent everybody out but Joe Namath to visit with Aaron Rodgers. And Joe would have been there, but he was doing the you need to enroll commercials.
Oh, yeah, his commercial. Yeah. Yeah. So I love Joe.
How in the world right now could Aaron Rodgers go back to Green Bay?
No, he's not going back to Green Bay. That's done. That romance is done, I think, for both parties. They want to move on. I think Aaron Rodgers wants to move on. There's two things Aaron Rodgers is going to do right now. He's either probably going to go to the Jets or he's going to retire. And I don't know if he wants to retire because of all the talk out there now. Aaron Rodgers is one of those guys that he likes this.
Oh, he loves it.
Think about this, too. Yeah, he the attention, people thinking he can't do it anymore. Look, Nathaniel Hackett is there, so the offense is already set. He's been in situations where Nathaniel Hackett has called the offense. He knows what Aaron Rodgers wants to do in certain situations. He was the MVP when he was there as well in Green Bay. He's going to a place now. They need a quarterback. They become one of those teams in that conference that has a chance to win the division. You still got the Buffalo Bills, right? We know that. You got Josh Allen. We got Tua. Okay. New England. They haven't beaten New England in 12 outings. But now they got a chance. And Aaron Rodgers is the kind of guy that he likes this. Now, I will say this. Think about all the quarterbacks in the AFC, though. They're loaded over there in the AFC.
Oh, my God. It's unreal.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. And so, that's the gauntlet of guys you're going to end up playing. But Aaron Rodgers likes that. Right? He likes that kind of stuff. He likes that challenge.
Oh, and he eats up this attention.
Oh, are you kidding me? And, like I said, the only thing, like when look, the plane that Woody and them rode on, I've been on that plane. I was actually the head coach there once upon a time. And, I said, look, the only thing they got to worry about now is Aaron Rodgers going back into the dark cave again. Because you never know what he'll do when he goes in the dark cave when he comes out.
Okay, let me toss this one at you. For a good while, at the beginning of all his complaining, it was that Green Bay wasn't getting him the weapons that he felt like he needed to be at his best. When he looks at that Jets roster, there's no doubt there's something really good on the defensive end. Is there enough on the offensive end to satisfy him?
Yeah, and I think they got to get one more receiver. I do believe this. I think they should get a tight end. Because there's a lot of tight ends coming out too this year. Now, you don't get one in the first round, but you need to get a tight end, right? Get him a tight end. Look, when you think about their offense, they averaged 17 points a game. They were the lowest scoring offense in the AFC East. The lowest scoring offense. And with Aaron Rodgers, look, they're going to score points. The last time the Jets were in the top 10 in scoring offenses in the National Football League was 2008 when Brett Favre was the quarterback. So you have a defense that can hold people to 17 points. All he's got to do is just beat Aaron Rodgers. And if he's Aaron Rodgers, he's going to throw at least 30 touchdowns. And that's what the good ones do. They throw from 30-plus touchdowns a year, right? And so if he can just do that, I mean, with the production of that offense and the defense, now they can play with spirit. What happened to these guys last year because of the turnovers there and their inability to score points? You saw this defense as the season wore on, they were fatigued. They became fatigued. They became weary because they couldn't score points.
Herm Edwards is with us from probably a rent-a-car near you. somewhere out on the West Coast. Herm,
I have a wonderful driver, Kelly. She's doing a fantastic job, and this is why I get to talk to you. See?
Oh, you tell her thank you.
Yes.
She's done
I will do that.
She's done us a great service. So,
well, you're the best. You're the best, my friend.
I saw something on the waiver wire that I want to ask you about. Adam Thielen is now available. I think the guy is terrific. And I've got to believe, first of all, a pro football team in Nashville, Tennessee ought to be looking at him since they have very little wide receiver ability. But isn't this a guy that is going to be courted by virtually everybody?
Well, here's the problem. He's been hurt the last 2 years. He's got a total of 750 yards in the last 2 years. When you think about it. And look, this dude he was unbelievable. He was a walk-on guy. Mankato State was a heck of a Viking player. But when you look at that team now and that roster of receivers they have, that guy Jefferson, he really pretty good. Jefferson, he's different, right? But I think it was time for them to move on. This is the hard part for veteran players. When you get 10 years or so in, this salary cap is real. And how you juggle your salary cap has a lot to do with the parts of your team you're trying to keep along with the draft. And so he was the guy they felt, it's time to move on. We can get another young receiver. I think he can help some teams in the NFL. He's a slot guy. That's where he's going to play in the slot. And you got to worry about injury because he's been injured the last 2 years, and that's a concern.
Herm, is there a Lamar Jackson question you have not been asked?
No, it's really interesting, that whole deal, and I've said this, I was on yesterday and we were talking about it, had a really good, nice discussion about Lamar. Not having an agent, I think, has hurt him because he didn't know what the market was going to present. When you have an agent, what they can do, they can go out and get the feel from other teams who's willing to step up and maybe give you the money you want. I've said this, look, I entered the league in 1977. And I knew in 1977 as a rookie, a fully guaranteed contract was not a part of what the owners were going to do. Cleveland went out there and did something. And so that has got Lamar all excited. And the problem is this, when you're negotiating a contract and you're hearing things what the team is saying, you've missed 10 games the last 2 years. You weren't ready. You were hurt. You didn't go with our team this year when we played Cincinnati. You're supposed to be the leader of the team. You didn't travel with the team. This is the part of negotiations, right? Then it becomes personal when you hear it as the player. When the agent hears that, he doesn't tell the player that. He just says, hey, we're stuck right now. We'll go. So that is a part of it, and not understanding the market. And when you think about it, and I thought this was wrong. I thought Baltimore, I said, you don't want to do that. You don't want somebody else to negotiate your contract. But you know what? Yeah, you do. Because basically, how many people are going to negotiate a contract, a guaranteed contract, fully guaranteed contract with Lamar Jackson? We got teams in the South, and maybe because free agency doesn't start till Monday, we're actually saying we're out. And I was going, what do you mean? How can you be out? The bidding hasn't even started yet. The NFC South, the best quarterback was Carr. The whole division needed a quarterback. And half the teams are saying, you're out. I'm going, are you kidding me right now? So when you look at this, you wonder, is this happening? Are the owners making a statement with Lamar Jackson saying if we guarantee him a contract wherever he goes, we open Pandora's box? Joe Burrows is coming in next. Josh Allen's coming in next. All these guys are going to come on in next, wanting full and guaranteed contracts. And we're not doing that. And if Lamar has to be the guy that we show the rest of these stars in the league that we're not going to give them fully guaranteed contracts, then this is what we got to do. This is what I said on air yesterday when I was on Stephen A. I said, if I was a player in today's game, here's what I would do. I'd sign a guaranteed contract for 2 years. And every 2 years, I'd get another bite of the apple. Salary cap goes up. Guess what? I'm going to just bet on myself. And every 2 years, I'm going to renegotiate. I'm good. I'm good. I ain't worried about 5-6 year deal. No, I'll go every 2 years. That's all I need. And I'll bet on myself.
Herm, do you think there is a scenario where no matter what Baltimore offers, he's mad enough that he's not staying there.
Yeah, but then where's he going to go? They have his rights. Is he going to sit at home and turn down what, I don't know, $180 million? You know, last time I checked, that's a lot of currency.
That's a lot of worldwide leader.
That's a lot of, you can do a lot with 180 million. But that's just me. What do I know? You know, I'm just, hey, I work for the worldwide leader. I wouldn't. Those numbers are something they used to pay the whole football team.
Right.
Now they pay players that, just one guy that, right?
It's monopoly money.
Look, yeah, and I'm for the players. I want the players to get as much money as they can get. I'm never mad at the player for getting his money. Get your money. But I'm hoping that doesn't happen. We need Lamar Jackson playing for somebody in the National Football League.
Absolutely.
I'm hoping he stays with, yeah, right. And I'm hoping he stays with the Ravens because that's really the best fit for him. He knows the system. He knows the people. They love him in that town. The players love him. It would just be a shame if this thing doesn't work out.
So
there's a lot of time left.
You know as well as I do that he's watching all these shows. He knows exactly what you're saying. He knows what Stephen A's saying. And he's hearing over and over, your lack of an agent is hurting you. Do you think in the back of his mind there is any thought process saying, okay, at the 11th hour, I'm going to go hire an agent?
It'd be interesting to see how this thing goes. You know, you never know what somebody else is thinking. And maybe it's one of those situations where, see, I'm going to show everybody they're wrong. I'm going to get it done, right? I hope they get it done. I hope both. I know Baltimore, they want him there. They don't want him to leave. But I think they also have the pressure of, if we do what the Cleveland Browns have done, then we're opening the door for more guys, the stars of the league, to become almost like the NBA, right? I mean, when you think about it, right? The NBA get these guaranteed contracts, and some of these guys don't even fulfill it. They don't even play it out. And they got guaranteed contracts.
So last thing for you. We've had disputed reports of the Titans at the Combine shopping Derrick Henry. I don't see the point in it because running backs get devalued a lot like buying a car out of the showroom. Do you really think they're shopping him?
Derrick Henry?
Yeah.
You know, it'd be interesting. I don't. I'm never going to say no. I'm never going to say no because, you know, running backs are, and he's fabulous. There's no doubt. I mean, you want him. I mean, there's no, if they are, if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I'm calling. Because that's the kind of running back that Mike wants. He wants a guy who runs inside the tackle box to make you commit to safety in the linebacker, so it opens the middle of the field for you in the play action passes. And he's fast enough where he can, you know, break a big run, and he can catch good enough, and wouldn't get a lot of wear and tear because he would be in a rotation with Pollard, because they got to get another back. And if you could tell me they can get that guy,
yeah.
Right?
I hope it doesn't happen.
And then what's Tennessee going to do? Is Tennessee going to change who they are?
I can't see it being 100% change because that's not Vrabel.
No. And he wants, you know, their offense is similar to Baltimore. They want to run it, really take possessions away from high-scoring offenses, play good defense. But the problem is, you know, the league with all these young quarterbacks now that have mobility, they're making it more difficult to play like that. You know, I look at Lamar Jackson and this new offensive coordinator, if he's in Baltimore now and Lamar stays there, Lamar Jackson needs to run the same offense that Hurst runs in Philly with the RPO game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because that's going to make him more explosive, right? It'll make him more explosive. And you see that more in football. Now, with that being said, you also got to realize that when you run that with that quarterback, he might not be a 10-year quarterback for you anymore because he's going to get hit, right? So you got to say, this would be a 5-year deal, and we got to get another guy. That's why you're always in the mindset of after 5 years, we might have to draft a guy. And fans will maybe ask, well, why are we doing that? Because if you're going to run this RPO system, that you see a lot of these guys doing now in the NFL with these quarterbacks running. You better have a guy sitting on the shelf because this guy's going to get hit.
Herm, how close are you to home?
I'm about 20 minutes. We're close.
Good.
It's raining. You know, the real estate's going out. We know how real estate is in California. But where I live, because of all the water, it's flooding. And where I'm going to live, I'm going to be on an island. I've always wanted to live on an island. Lord,
the Herm Island.
Yes.
I love it. Hey, I know you made a real effort today to be on here. You fought a bunch of obstacles. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on.
No, my friend, our friendship means a lot to me, and your fan base that follows you. You do such a marvelous job for those folks, and it's always a pleasure to talk to the good folks down there. So I appreciate you.
You're a good man. Oh, I gotta leave you with this. Guess where I'm having dinner tonight?
Jimmy Kelly's?
You're darn tootin'.
Hey, tell them boys I said hello, please.
I'll do it. You take care.
All right, you too, my friend.
Great stuff with Herm Edwards. We'll go to the break, and we'll be back.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Scholar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685. I know it's getting colder. You're not thinking about golf. However, if you're planning an event for next year, let me suggest golf through Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. It's perfect for hosting a corporate or a charitable outing. They've got everything in place to make your event a rousing success. To get more info, call 615-847-5074 or go online to riversidegolflinks.com. When the Nashville Predators return home on Tuesday night, March the 14th to take on Detroit, it's another of those college nights, and this time it's the Auburn Tigers. So Auburn students, alums, and fans are invited to celebrate. College Night Series ticket packages include a Predator game ticket and a limited edition co-branded hat. Tickets can be purchased at NashvillePredators.com/college nights. War Eagle. You know, it's hard to believe. By the way, halftime, Tennessee hits a 3 at the buzzer, and I see David there. So let's go ahead and bring him up really quick. Erika, give us about 2 minutes, and then we'll be with you. She gave me the thumbs up. That's good to see. 33-30, Tennessee. They hit a 3 at the buzzer. David Wilson joins us from Bridgestone. There he is. David, not only has this been chippy, but it's been nip and tuck the whole way.
Yeah, it's been a battle for the entire first half. Both teams turning the ball over. So really just the advantage for Tennessee to come into the half is their ability to get points off turnovers, something Missouri hasn't been able to do. But it's been a chippy first half. We saw Josiah Jordan Dance with the technical. with contact after the ball, after the whistle. So it's been chippy in the first half. But we expected this 2 tough, grinded-out teams.
Obviously, 2 teams that are going to the tournament that now really, on paper, are only playing for some seeding purposes, and yet there was an intensity to this that felt like an NCAA tournament game.
Well, we know Rick Barnes teaches his team to be gritty and tough-nosed. They really focus on the defensive end, so we knew it was going to be tough for Missouri to make shots. They only made 3 3-pointers in the first half, 3 of 13, if I remember, from the field. So they've done a good job defensively. But Tennessee, man, they've come into the game on the year. They had 10 turnovers per game. They had 9 in the first half. So Tennessee can take care of the ball. I feel good about their chances in the second half. Santiago Vesky's in foul trouble, but he had 3 3-pointers in the first half. So he's going to be key in the second half.
Yeah, don't you think ultimately that his ability to hit the 3 or lack thereof will decide who wins this?
George, I'm telling you, every time he laces it up, I think it's going in. It's a pure shot. He was 3 or 4 in the first half from the 3-point line. He shot it well from there yesterday. Every time he shoots it, it feels like it's going in. So if I were him, if I were Rick Barnes, I'd be more aggressive with it. You know, he's really the only guy making shots for Tennessee. Really only guy who wants to take the shot. So I draw more plays for Vesky in the second.
Yeah, that's a good point you're making, that you know, they've struggled in the half court, and not everybody looks like they want the ball at crunch time.
And he's been there before. He's a veteran player that's used to this stage. So I feel like he's got the hot hand. He wants it. He's a confident player. So I think for Tennessee, it's a no-brainer to try to scheme up and draw him up some plays to get him open. And if you're Missouri, you just can't leave him open. They left him open several times in the first half, and he made them pay for it. So that's how it's going to be.
David, real quickly, tell people about game 1 where Alabama dominated and rolled over Mississippi State.
I think it was something that didn't surprise us. You know, Mississippi State has struggled all year from the field offensively. Not a team that's been able to make 3-pointers, 28% from the 3-point line all season. You know, that's going to be a record for a team making the NCAA tournament. You know, they're built through Tolo Smith down low. He wasn't able to get it going because Alabama, they're just long, they're lanky and athletic. And when Alabama's making shots, they're tough to beat. So we'll see if Alabama can continue that momentum into the weekend.
David, let's do this again in about 15 minutes, and we'll talk about what's coming tonight as well as Tennessee's battle with Missouri.
All right, sounds good. See you in a few.
That's David Wilson reporting live from Bridgestone Arena. Okay, the weather is getting warmer, and that's a good thing. And a little more than a month from now, we're going to want warmer weather, marathon time. Erika Larson is the race director for the St. Jude Rock and Roll Marathon that will come in here in April. Erika, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Good. I like the shades. You got the blue tint in them.
They're my blue light glasses. I'm sitting in front of a computer planning, getting ready for April 22nd. So this is the part where we spend a lot of time behind the computer making all the plans. So.
And this is an event that has grown a ton over the years. Can you kind of pinpoint a number and say, this is how many runners we expect this time?
Yeah, we expect about 25,000 runners to join us on Broadway on April 22nd. With COVID, kind of took a backseat. It was kind of slow to rebuild, but at this point, we're very confident and happy to say that we're back to where we were pre-COVID in terms of registrations.
Which is remarkable because I know a lot of the marathons cannot say that.
Yeah, we're very grateful. We've been working really hard, rebuilding this and sending out updates and listening to runner feedback from 2021, 2022. How can we improve incrementally and get better year over year to continue making this event a participant favorite year over year?
When you ask that question, what is the most consistent piece of feedback you get?
It's funny you asked that. It's the hills in Nashville. You know, people who are not from here may not know, but it's not the flattest city. You know, it's not the most hilly, but it's not, you know, what we would consider a flat course, you know. So we heard a lot of that feedback. We have a lot of, you know, fun marketing things. We're going to tagline it the Nash Hills instead of Nashville, and really just working with local groups, run clubs, training groups to better prepare runners for some hills that they're going to see out on course.
How much has the course changed over the years?
It's a great question. I would say maybe 10% of it has changed. I can send a course map, certainly, but we start on Broadway, which we've done for years, go into South Nashville, through 12 South, up through the Gulch. We've made a few modifications in the past couple of years with the marathon specifically. The half marathon has generally remained the same. But this year, the marathon's going to actually run back up Rosa Parks into Metro Center. And in years past, we've come back down Rosa Parks to come into town. This year, we're going to change it. We're going to utilize the Cumberland River Greenway to come back to town through Germantown, and then into the Sound Stadium. And the rest of the course is mostly the same. We still go out east to Shelby Bottoms Park. It's a beautiful area. And the one thing I do want to call out, we did change our finish line this year. It's still at Nissan Stadium. It's just on the other side of it. It's actually going to be on the south side of the stadium. We're near the pedestrian bridge. So it's going to be a really great backdrop of the downtown skyline when runners finish on Victory Avenue.
Erika, I had a dear friend that passed away 2 years ago, Rick Region, who was always one of the volunteers around this event. And I know you're always looking for people to help. Let's start there. If somebody is watching this interview, they may not be a runner, but they would like to help you in a volunteer way. What do they need to do?
Absolutely. So you can go on our website, runrockandroll.com/Nashville. There's a volunteer tab, and we have so many different kinds of opportunities beginning Thursday of race week at our Health and Fitness Expo that occurs Thursday and Friday at the Nashville Municipal Auditorium and Musicians Hall of Fame, from packet pickup, putting volunteer bags together, working at the volunteer booth. And then, of course, on race day Saturday, where we have the 5K, 10K, half marathon, and marathon, everywhere from volunteering at the corrals to water stations to the secure zone where runners get their medals and snacks and things like that. We also have volunteer opportunities on Sunday where we have our 1 mile kids race and dog race. So there's really something for everybody. We never turn volunteers away. It's a great way to get involved. If you're not familiar with the event, you can come out and cheer people on. So we definitely recommend doing that.
Tell me about the dog race.
Maybe my favorite part of the weekend. It's a half mile race. People can, obviously race with their own dog, but we give the human and the dog matching t-shirts. The dogs get a little dog tag as their medal, bandana. And we also have the Nashville Humane Association coming out as well. They'll speak about dogs that are up for adoption. And we will have donations going to the Nashville Humane Association as well.
Okay. Let me toss one more before we end this.
Sure.
Most of the runners know what's going on. Most of them have already pre-planned. Can a person get into this race late?
Absolutely. Yep. So we do close online registration the Sunday night prior to race day, but we do take on-site registrations at the Health and Fitness Expo. It's a little bit pricier. We actually do have our last price increase happening this weekend. So anyone who's familiar with the show and watching, between now and Sunday is your time to register. It's going to be the lowest price between now and race week, but you can certainly still get in if you're on the fence, maybe working out an injury, not sure if you'll be in town or whatever it may be. You can certainly still register at the Health and Fitness Expo Thursday and Friday prior to the event.
Okay, I lied. I got one more. For a marathon, what is the perfect weather? What is it you look to the man above and say, this is what we want?
Well, of course, sunshine, probably cooler in the morning, not too hot in the afternoon. That sunshine can really beat down, as we know. In April, it's kind of up in the air in terms of what weather we get here in Tennessee. But I would say as a runner myself, cool in the morning so you can get the majority of your run done before it starts to warm up, mid 60s, I would say personally. Some people may agree or disagree with that.
Well, that's what we're going to be rooting for.
Yes, exactly.
Listen, thank you for taking the time to do this. That was really nice of you.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Erika Larson is the race director of an event that has just gotten bigger and bigger in our city. And that, of course, is the St. Jude Rock and Roll Marathon. Okay, after the break, we'll get you the plaster bets of the day. One final visit with David Wilson out at Bridgestone Arena. But first, let's talk a little March Madness. A lot of you are betting on it. Maybe you're betting on the NBA as well. Either way, today at Action 24/7, use the promo code George. I love it. And get a 300% deposit match up to $20 on your first deposit. Action 24/7 is Tennessee's only locally owned and operated sportsbook. And I bring that up for a specific reason. These are your neighbors. They are people that want you to have a good experience. So, for instance, if you have a question or a dispute over a bet that's made, you simply dial them up and they're going to get back to you. They are, because it's important for them to have a good relationship with folks in this area. So download the app. Use that promo code George. Visit action247.com to start all your winning, and please bet responsibly.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? Wow.
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
This is my buddy and former Nashville Sounds PA announcer, Eric Berner. I always laughed in the old days at Greer Stadium when I would walk in, Eric would immediately play my favorite song, Van Halen's Jump. But then I learned he actually has a real job with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors.
Yeah, George, that's what I do. I help people in the pursuit of making their money live as long as they do. Everybody's situation is different, so I use a customized and individualized, personalized approach to the person I'm working with. Old 401ks, retirement planning, insurance planning, inheritance planning. Those are things that people like to get some more information about.
One of the things I find is people don't even know where to start, and that's where you come in.
Yeah, so I can usually help people with an initial phone call or meeting that is a no charge and no obligation.
And I'll bet you have a phone number and a website.
I do, George. They can call me at 615-235-1058 or rockcastlewealth.com or Eric at rockcastlewealth.com.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd. The goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Don't miss a minute of the action this season. Visit NashvillePredators.com/tickets to get your seats today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets. And we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
Jody Jones has as nice a dental facility as you'll find anywhere. Let's go in and take a look. Are you in the market for a new dentist? Maybe you're new to Nashville? Well, the place to go is Jody Jones Dentistry at 55 Music Square East, and their new facility is absolutely state-of-the-art. Jody mixes quality with comfort for the perfect dental experience. He's trusted for his creative design and committed to both the function and aesthetics of your smile. Jody is simply the total package. Don't wait. Make an appointment now at 615-259-5100. Okay, here's some basketball notes to give you before we head out to Bridgestone Arena again. Tennessee has now jumped up on Missouri. They've scored the first 5 points of the second half, so that three-pointer at the buzzer gave them some momentum. It's now 38-30, Vols with 18:40 to play. Here's a late one for you. It looks like Ohio State is going to beat Michigan State. And although that's only in the quarterfinals, that's a team that the bubble teams don't want to see going. Ohio State looked like they were going to fire their coach, but now it looks like they're on the verge of 2 big upset wins in the tournament. Billy, that's one you got to pay attention to.
Yes, it is. And another, you talk about firing coaches that you got to pay attention to. St. John's has just let go of Mike Anderson, and they are targeting Rick Pitino.
Yes,
so
that is true.
Keep an eye on that one.
Let's go out to Bridgestone. David, what do you got for us?
Yeah, Tennessee just jumped up on Missouri in the second half. So we'll see if they can continue that momentum they took from the end of the first half as well.
David, let me hop in here. I know Tennessee is a team that, you look at them, they go on scoring droughts where, they may not score for, 4 or 5, even 6 minutes. Do you think they've done enough? I mean, have they shown you enough against Missouri, to where you think they might be able to score a little bit more today?
They shot the ball well in the first half. Their problem was they were turning it over too much. Coming into today, they averaged about 10 turnovers per game. Well, they had 9 in the first half. They've been able to shoot the ball well, particularly Santiago Vescovi. He was 3 or 4 from the three-point line in the first half. They can continue the momentum to go. They'll be just fine. I mean, if Tennessee's making shots, they're one of the scariest teams in the country with their ability to defend on the defensive side of the ball.
So the matchup I'm really interested in is this A&M Arkansas deal, which is straight out of the old Southwest Conference. A&M has been on this magic carpet ride where they've beaten everybody in the SEC. What do you think tonight?
Well, I'll call Texas A&M the darlings of the SEC for a reason. They're a popular pick to win the whole tournament here in Nashville. Just their ability to defend, their length and athleticism gave Alabama problems last week at College Station. They drew a favorable matchup with Arkansas, a team that was struggling coming into the tournament. Now, they needed a win last night, and they got it over Auburn. But Arkansas had lost 3 in a row coming into Nashville. Getting Nick Smith Jr. back was huge for Arkansas. We'll see if what that matchup holds in store, but I'm excited about that one.
Oh, it's going to be a classic. And then the one that Nashvillians are interested in, Vandy is an 8.5-point dog to Kentucky. And there's a part of me going, what does Vegas know? Vandy's been red hot. Kentucky at times has been. At times they haven't been. What do you think?
This one's going to be a hostile environment for the Commodores tonight. There's a lot of Kentucky blue entering Bridgestone Arena behind me, just as much as that Tennessee orange. So Kentucky fans are here. They're excited to be in Nashville. Their team's been up and down all season long, but they drew a favorable matchup in that bottom half of the bracket. I really do think the winner of this whole tournament is coming out of that bottom half. You know, Alabama played really well today, but they've been a team just mired in controversy. So I think that team coming out of the bottom half is going to be the one to win the SEC tournament this weekend.
By the way, you've been a bad jinx to Tennessee. Since you've been out there, Missouri has wiped away the 8-point lead. It's now tied at 39.
What a tournament this has been, by the way, too, David.
Those teams, Missouri and Tennessee, are even. They came down to the wire in Thompson Bowling just a few weeks ago with Missouri winning by 1, the 3-pointer at the buzzer. That game's going to be back and forth. Great players, Kobe Brown from Missouri, a phenomenal player, received an award from Greg Sankey before the game even started. So it's going to be a good game. Both teams are good defensively. It's going to be who can put the ball in the basket. It's going to be the difference in that game.
David, great stuff. Thank you for taking the time to do all this week at Bridgestone. Great work, and we'll see you on Monday.
He gets the 2 coldest days.
I'll see you guys back in the studio Monday.
Yeah,
I'm going to go get a cup of hot chocolate.
Yeah, let's not act like it's Lambeau. Come on. Be tough.
There we go. See y'all later.
See you. And you're egging it on.
Well, I'm just saying, it's just funny to me how, you know, we've had some good weather days in Nashville, and then we send David down there and he gets, 45, 50 degrees.
He may have over-exaggerated a little. He gave us sort of the toboggan look.
Well, you're from Nashville. You get used to being sort of a little wimp about it, but no, I thank him for doing that.
Absolutely. Did a great job. Let's go to Plaster Bet of the Day. And
then we'll close out with a little update.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, let's do it. Brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. They are lawyers you can trust. Give them a call at 615-242-9000 or log on to bartdurham.com. All right, George, let's check out what happened last night. NC State lost to Clemson.
Yeah.
The Tigers keep rolling, and they keep their tournament hopes alive. So NC State is a loss this week, but you won Vandy. Vandy, I don't know about easily. I thought they could have won.
Pretty easily.
Yeah, they could have won by more. I thought they had a chance to extend their late in the second half, but they got the win and they covered. So you are 10 games above 500.
I'm cooking with gas.
135 and 120. Watson was ripping you earlier this week saying, I don't know about how you're going to do in March.
Well,
but he can shove it right about now.
Well, I got news for him. I'm daddy. Okay, so we've got 2 winners for tonight. And we did this earlier today because weekend lines obviously depend on matchups, so they're really not out there yet. Let's go with the first one.
Boise.
Yeah, Boise's a really solid basketball team. I just think they're going to win.
And George, Utah State is a team that's on the bubble that a lot of Vandy fans are watching. A lot of bubble teams are keeping track of. So I think if Boise is able to cover and win potentially, that'd be a huge bubble loss for a lot of teams.
Yep. Here's the other one. What do they know that I don't? By the way, the line's gone to 8.5. So a lot of blue mist money has gotten out toward Vegas. I'll be honest, I thought the line would be 4.5 or 5. This seems a little too high to me. I'm taking Vandy. By the way, I think they got a shot to win.
Yeah, I think this is a very easy pick. I mean, you look at how they played them in Rupp, George, without Robbins. I mean, Robbins didn't play that game, and Vanderbilt was able to shoot the ball well. They got to shoot the ball well tonight to win the game. And they did last night. They really did.
Crazy.
Whew.
Okay, we've had a really good week. with the SEC tournament in town. Next week, a lot of NCAA tournament action. The college basketball insiders will join us Monday to break down the field of 68. Billy, you behave until then.
George, you too.
All of you have a great weekend. If you're out driving, drive safely. We'll see you Monday.